You hit your 50s, and suddenly your body stops playing by the rules you have known all your life. Meet our subject, a 52-year-old man who is successful in life, but facing a daily physical struggle. Every single morning, he stands in front of his bedroom mirror, fighting a frustrating, losing battle with his belt. He sucks in his gut, trying to force the leather strap to the next notch, but it is impossible. Suddenly, his smartwatch buzzes brightly on his wrist. A vibrant fireworks display flashes across the digital screen. He just hit 10,000 steps. Again, a perfect streak of daily walking that he never misses. Yet, as he looks down, that stubborn, heavy midsection hasn't shrunk a single millimeter despite all his effort. It is a deeply frustrating reality for millions of middle-aged individuals around the world right now. In fact, recent data from the CDC reports that 42% of adults are currently facing obesity. However, midlife belly fat is not just about aesthetics. It plays an entirely different, much more dangerous game. We often think of body fat as just a passive layer of stored energy waiting to be used. But the medical reality of what is happening inside the 50-year-old abdomen is far more complex and active. This type of central adiposity physically alters how your internal systems operate on a microscopic level. The rules of metabolism shift drastically once you cross that half-century mark, rendering old weight loss tricks useless. To understand why 10,000 steps are failing him, we must look at what lies beneath the surface. You see, the fat you can comfortably pinch on your stomach is known as subcutaneous fat, and it is mostly harmless. But deep inside his abdomen, hidden entirely from the naked eye, tightly wrapping around his liver and intestines, is something far more sinister: visceral fat. Think of it not just as a passive layer of stored energy, but as a highly toxic, metabolically active organ, pumping dangerous inflammatory chemicals directly into his bloodstream. So why is it suddenly accumulating so rapidly right now? According to extensive medical research on a condition called sarcopenia, after the age of 30, we naturally begin to lose 3 to 8% of our muscle mass every single decade. Less muscle inevitably means a much slower midlife metabolism. Your body simply cannot burn incoming calories with the same blazing efficiency like it used to in your 20s. So what about those famous 10,000 steps that everyone obsesses over? Here is a shocking truth that might completely change how you view your daily walks. The 10,000 step rule was not born in a sterile medical laboratory or a hospital. It was actually a brilliant marketing campaign created for a Japanese pedometer right before the 1964 Tokyo Olympics, simply because the Japanese character for 10,000 looks like a walking man. Now, do not get this wrong. Scientifically speaking, walking is an absolutely fantastic activity. A comprehensive 2023 study published in the prestigious medical journal, The Lancet, demonstrated that walking just 30 minutes a day has profound cardiovascular benefits. It drops your overall cardiovascular risk by a massive 35%. Inside your chest, walking acts like a daily massage for your cardiovascular system. It forces your heart muscle to become incredibly strong and highly efficient. It actively lowers your blood pressure by relaxing the walls of your blood vessels. Furthermore, it dramatically improves your mood by releasing a gentle wave of endorphins and serotonin. That is exactly why our subject feels much better, calmer, and sleeps more soundly. However, when it comes to burning off that stubborn, midlife visceral fat, it is a completely different story. But when it comes to Arthur's dangerous visceral fat, his daily walking habit is hitting a massive brick wall. Over the last 30 days, Arthur has walked religiously, never missing a single morning session in the local park. His resting heart rate dropped, and his mood improved, but an abdominal scan reveals a grim, hidden biological reality. That thick, toxic layer of yellow visceral fat wrapping around his organs remains completely untouched and incredibly, stubbornly persistent. To understand this frustrating weight loss plateau, we have to talk about a physiological concept called aerobic efficiency. You see, the human body is an incredible, highly evolved survival machine designed specifically to conserve precious energy. When you first start a new activity like walking, your body is highly inefficient and burns a massive amount of calories. If you do the exact same low-intensity walk every single day, a remarkable physiological adaptation quickly occurs. Your nervous system and muscles learn to perform that exact same movement while using significantly less biological fuel. Think of it like a smart hybrid engine that suddenly learns how to drive twice as far on less gas. By week 4, Arthur's body is actually burning far fewer calories during his 10,000 steps than in week 1. Furthermore, this low-intensity, steady-state cardio does not create a strong enough metabolic stress to force the release of deep belly fat. The fat cells simply hold onto their stored energy, completely ignoring the mild physical activity happening outside. So, Arthur steps on the digital scale, fully expecting a reward for his month of hard work, only to see the exact same number. To melt that dangerous midlife fat, he needs a powerful new stimulus that forces his hormones to completely change the rules. To break this frustrating plateau, we must look beyond basic calorie counting and dive deep into endocrinology. The fundamental reason Arthur cannot walk off his belly fat lies in a profound internal chemical shift. Let us take a journey inside the chemical control center of a 50-year-old body, the hormone factory. According to the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, a major biological change occurs after age 30. A man's testosterone levels begin to naturally decline by roughly 1% every single year without fail. Imagine the cells producing testosterone as tiny, exhausted factory workers who are slowly packing up their tools. Over 2 decades, this continuous, silent drop in testosterone completely rewrites how the male body operates daily. This specific hormonal shift sends a very clear, urgent biological signal to his midlife metabolic system. The body is instructed to stop building muscle and start storing every spare calorie directly in the belly. The visceral fat cells happily receive this chemical signal, acting like a magnet for all incoming energy. This brings us to the core problem with using low-intensity walking to fight this age-related metabolic decline. While walking is phenomenal for your heart, the physical stress it places on your muscles is incredibly mild. Inside the body, a daily walk feels like a gentle, soothing breeze to that sleepy hormone factory. It is simply not powerful enough to wake up the tired workers and reverse the deep hormonal decline. To force the body to rebuild muscle and burn belly fat, Arthur needs a radical new biological stimulus. Imagine your muscle cells not just as mechanical cables, but as living, breathing, active entities. Inside his arms, these muscle fibers are like exhausted, deflated workers that have not been challenged in years. When he finally picks up that heavy dumbbell, something incredible happens at the microscopic level. The intense mechanical stress creates tiny, controlled microscopic tears deeply embedded in the muscle tissue. To survive and repair this sudden, massive physical stress, his body instantly goes into a biological emergency mode. The muscle fibers suddenly awaken, inflating with power and releasing a massive flood of specialized proteins called myokines. Think of these myokines as highly trained biological assassins deployed directly into the fast-flowing bloodstream. They have one specific mission: hunting down and neutralizing that stubborn, highly toxic visceral fat. When the myokines reach the belly, they aggressively attack the fat cells, forcing them to open up and release their stored energy. The once smug and greedy fat cells begin to shrink rapidly, utterly defeated by this powerful chemical warfare. Furthermore, lifting heavy weights forces your basal metabolic rate, your internal calorie furnace, to completely and utterly skyrocket. Your body now demands massive amounts of energy just to repair those microscopic muscle tears while you are resting deeply. This profound hormonal shift is exactly why a landmark study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found remarkable results. They conclusively discovered that incorporating strength training just twice a week reduces all-cause mortality by an astonishing 20%. Weightlifting literally reverses the biological clock, transforming his body from a fat-storing machine into an unstoppable fat-burning furnace. Wait, what if Arthur just changes his routine and does 500 crunches a day instead? Let us bust the single biggest, most persistent myth in the entire fitness industry: spot reduction. You simply cannot pick and choose exactly where your body will burn its stored fat reserves. Doing endless sit-ups while completely ignoring your overall muscle mass is completely biologically futile. It is literally like trying to empty a massive, deep ocean using a tiny teaspoon. The thick, heavy layer of toxic visceral fat remains completely hidden beneath the skin you see. Your abdominal muscles might grow stronger, but they will just push the fat layer outward. Here is the ultimate scientific showdown between our two different exercises to understand the truth. When Arthur goes for his daily 10,000 steps, his body burns calories very effectively, but only while he is actively moving. The moment he sits down, the calorie burning essentially stops. His metabolic fire drops back to its normal baseline immediately. But weightlifting triggers a completely different biological phenomenon altogether. This is the real magic. It is called EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. widely known as the Afterburn Effect. The metabolic fire stays raging for up to 48 hours after leaving the gym. You are literally scorching deep belly fat while sitting on the couch or sleeping soundly. But the Afterburn Effect is only the first half of this incredible metabolic reprogramming. There is a second massive advantage that dictates exactly how your body processes the food you eat. Insulin is the powerful hormone responsible for unlocking your cells to let this energy inside. But as we age and lose muscle mass, the biological doors on our muscle cells become rusty. They develop a stubborn resistance to insulin. The doors refuse to open, completely rejecting the incoming carbohydrates. So, this extra glucose has nowhere else to go but straight into the eagerly waiting visceral fat cells. However, a fascinating study published in the prestigious journal Cell Metabolism revealed a truly powerful mechanism. Lifting heavy weights improves your body's overall insulin sensitivity by an incredible 30%. The intense muscle contractions act like powerful chemical oil, forcing those rusty cellular doors completely wide open. When Arthur eats a meal containing carbohydrates, the glucose is immediately shuttled directly into the muscles. The muscle fibers desperately need this massive energy supply to repair their microscopic tears and grow. Because the muscles took everything, the greedy visceral fat cells are left completely starving, watching their food supply vanish. This dual action, burning calories for 48 hours straight while actively redirecting all new carbs away from fat, is unbeatable. Walking 10,000 steps simply cannot trigger this profound metabolic reprogramming. Arthur finally understands. It is time to throw away the outdated playbook. It is time to lift heavy. So what exactly is the golden blueprint for a healthy 50-plus body? It is all about strategic synergy. It is absolutely not about throwing your walking shoes in the trash and abandoning your morning strolls. Walking provides incredible cardiovascular health and contributes massively to your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, commonly known as NEAT. NEAT accounts for the calories you burn doing basic daily movements, keeping your baseline metabolism highly active. But you must strictly marry this low-intensity movement with a dedicated, heavy resistance training routine each week. For the aging body, consistency and smart recovery are actually far more important than daily extreme physical exhaustion. The National Strength and Conditioning Association explicitly notes that middle-aged adults require 48 to 72 hours of recovery. Your muscles do not actually grow while you are aggressively lifting heavy weights inside the gym. They grow and burn fat during the crucial recovery phase, highly dependent on an active biological process. Imagine microscopic construction workers tirelessly laying down glowing new protein bricks to reinforce the damaged muscle fibers. But there is one final, incredibly critical pillar that holds this entire metabolic master plan together. You simply cannot out-train a chronic sleep debt, no matter how heavy you lift or how far you walk. Groundbreaking research published in the Archives of Internal Medicine revealed a terrifying truth about sleep deprivation. Sleeping strictly less than 6 hours a night drastically and abruptly halts your body's natural fat breakdown processes. Without adequate deep sleep, your stress cortisol severely spikes, forcing your body to desperately hold on to that stubborn, visceral fat. Fast forward exactly 6 months into the future. Arthur has faithfully adopted the ultimate golden blueprint. He still walks about 8,000 steps every single day to clear his stressed mind. But critically, 3 days a week, he steps into the gym and lifts heavy weights. This morning, he stands in front of that exact same bedroom mirror. He pulls the leather belt and effortlessly secures it 2 full notches tighter than before. His face is glowing with newfound energy, confidence, and a sharply improved metabolic health baseline. His latest blood work panel is absolutely pristine, showing perfectly balanced glucose and lipid profiles. Deep inside his abdomen, that stubborn, toxic wall of yellow visceral fat has significantly melted away. The once greedy fat cells are packing up and disappearing, unable to survive the new environment. Meanwhile, his muscle cells are thriving, standing strong and keeping his internal calorie furnace burning. Arthur's journey proves a fundamental medical truth. You have the absolute power to rewrite your biological clock. It is never too late to change the rules of your metabolism and reclaim your vitality. However, if you have underlying cardiovascular conditions or joint issues, extreme caution is strictly required. Always consult thoroughly with your primary care doctor before starting any heavy resistance training. This video is for educational purposes only. Please consult a healthcare professional for advice.